Every time I read the number for the WhatsApp, I'm reminded of the story, whether or not it's true, that one time Jimmy White was in Lilies and the Irish football team were in there, and they're very excited about the fact that like celebrity Jimmy White was there.
Oh yeah.
And so McAteer shouts 180 at him.
Oh, he tried.
I don't know if it's true. I assume it's not true, Jason. But still, the story's too good not to repeat.
Yeah. He made an effort, to be fair.
Good morning, Shane.
Good morning, how are things?
Good morning, Kathleen.
Good morning.
Shane, you're slightly hungover this morning.
I was at the Always Sunny podcast, I think with half of Dublin last night in 3 Arena.
Literally every single Instagram story I looked at last night was people at the Always Sunny podcast. One of my friends actually FaceTimed his girlfriend in from Canada for it, for a section of it, and I was like, that's dedication to the cause.
It was
are you allowed to do that? Is there not like a...
Probably not. It was like a 30-second, like, look where we are sort of thing. It wasn't.
It was one of those weird ones because...
No copyright.
Yeah, exactly. Myself and the brother were right over against one of the walls for our seats. We paid good money for these seats, and most of the show was you had to see the big screen to see the clips they were putting up and stuff.
Can't see the big screen from the seats?
No, we were like, literally, this is ridiculous. So like within 10 minutes we just moved over and got ourselves a nice central
because it
seat.
wasn't full.
There was like a few empty seats.
All right.
Not many empty seats, but we made the most of our opportunity.
Kind of like people not turning up for one reason or another, sort of empty seats.
Exactly. Yeah, handful. But it was really good fun. Kristen Olsen shows up, the wife of Rob McElhenney, who's fantastic in the show. People who are fans of Always Sunny will know her. They were kind of hinting at it the whole time. They're like, oh, I wonder what time it is over in Los Angeles, where she is tonight. And then, of course, she lands out in the second half of the show. It's very good, though. Very good.
The bit broken, of course, by the fact that they do the same joke in
London.
England. Yeah.
Now, they kept getting brownie points from the Irish crowd by shouting at how much they hate England. They would just randomly stand up and say, England was shit compared to this. And then everyone would go buck for about 5 minutes. And
we're easily pleased.
Wins.
I was going to say, we're such a simple crowd.
Yeah. And they referenced the imperialism of England and why they hated England. And I was like, you guys didn't say this when you were in London, did you?
They say it on there?
I doubt it.
It's funny, yeah.
But
they did pick Wales for the football team, obviously, as opposed to England, which is relatively interesting.
Was there much Wrexham chat?
There was absolutely none. There was kind of half a hint at, oh, look at Rob owning a football team. And it literally lasted 2 seconds. But it was a lot of fun. Charlie Day is hilarious.
It's Charlie Day, Rob McElhenney,
Glenn Howard, who plays Dennis on the show, and Kirsten Olsen. And then Megan is the writer on the show who kind of runs the podcast, is almost the MC, I guess, the person in between.
So they all do the podcast?
Yeah,
right.
Except for Kirsten Olsen. Yeah, it's Megan and then the 3 lads do the podcast.
It's a fairly all-star cast to be travelling around doing a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of shows, I suppose, where podcasting has actually gone in recent years.
And how much money you make from selling out the 3 Arena. How much was it?
I think tickets were 45, maybe 50 quid. And it looked to be a sellout. I think they have another night sold out tonight in the 3 Arena. I'm not sure if they have a third night this week, but certainly a second night tonight. But when you see the crowd for podcasts, it's quite insane. I know Blind Boy does Vicar Street quite often, so yeah, it turns out podcasts are pretty popular. Who would have known?
Was it good?
It was good. It was very, very good entertainment. Funny, I met one of my mates afterwards and I was like, that was brilliant, wasn't it? He was like, I thought it was crap. But I wasn't drinking. He wasn't drinking, and I was like, I don't think the drinking made it more fun for me. I think it was fun regardless. But my brother was the same. He was like, yeah, that was very, very solid entertainment.
Was your mate a fan of the podcast?
He was, yeah.
Oh, right.
Sorry, a fan of the show. There's a lot of people there who are like fans of the show. Some were fans of the show and the podcast.
Right.
People were literally, as clips were coming up on screen, people were quoting it out loud. You could hear the entire auditorium kind of quoting things back. So
it is one of those proper cult kind of shows. Like I'd never watched it before, and then during lockdown lived with 2 people who absolutely loved it. So it was like every night you were just watching like 3 or 4 episodes. You almost go into like a bit of a daze, because some of the episodes as well are like relatively trippy or something.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're watching multiple of them in a row.
They're only like 20 minutes long, so like you can go down dark hole watching.
There are a gazillion of them as well. That's the other thing. It's been going for such a long period of time. So yeah, okay, that was one thing that happened last night. Obviously, Liverpool are back, right? There's no way that we're going to be lulled into a false sense of security by Liverpool putting up an incredible performance, absolutely walloping their opponents, and they're definitely not going to let us down the next game they play, are they? This has not happened at all this season.
How do you judge where Liverpool are at? Next
season, I think you judge where Liverpool are at. This season is a bit of a write-off. I mean, is it beyond the possibility that they could still go on? What
top 4 surely is out of the question at this stage.
Do they want European football next year, or do they not want European football?
Of course they do. Now, the likes of Jude Bellingham decision, if you want to call it a decision, the club saying they're not interested in him. You feel like that's preempting the fact that they're not going to get Champions League football for next season. But then you see a result like last night and you're like, if they can get results like this between now and the end of the season,
It's too late.
do you think it's too late?
It's too late.
Yeah, well, the points difference between themselves and Manchester United, for example, is quite significant.
United aren't their targets. Newcastle have to be their targets,
Yeah.
right? So Newcastle have 56 points and Liverpool have 47 points. So can they make up 9 points in 8 games?
Well, I mean, they can for sure, but it would take a bit of a Newcastle.
That's a lot of points in 8 games.
Yeah, it's significant enough. And then you just can't trust Liverpool to continue this. And also
no, you can't.
the Trent Alexander-Arnold handball,
Which is like the most obvious handball. I was watching with the sound down, going, "Oh well, they're obviously going to take this back." And then Gakpo's still celebrating, and it's like they've kicked off. Why are you kicked off? Where's the VAR?
Yeah,
what's going on?
And I was chatting to Phil about this outside. It's like if Trent himself had lashed it in from there, the goal would not have stood. It's because the play goes on, and he's not the direct person involved in the goal. Apparently, the rules are so flaky and grey.
But why did the referee just not stop it and go, "Oh, that was a handball"?
Yeah, well, this is the thing now. They let the play go on, don't they, just to see what's going to happen.
But then you've got to.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit ridiculous. Now, of course, it's 6-1 in the end, so probably takes away from the controversy a little bit. But it was a significant goal at a significant time.
If flaky Leeds get flaked and feel like the world is against them because the world is against them, that I think it has a material impact.
Well, you almost feel like Leeds are screwed now as well. Sinisterra gets the goal, and you're thinking, well, this is a chance. They could come back. They're at home. There's a bit of momentum behind them. I know you love that word, Ger, but Liverpool just pushed on. And if you're looking at the Premier League table now at the moment, and you're a Leeds fan this morning, plenty of you in Ireland, by the way, as well, you're concerned. 2 point steer of the relegation spots.
I feel like they've been concerned for a lot longer than just last night, though, as well.
They were born concerned. But yeah, it's Southampton on the bottom 23, Leicester on 25, Forest on 27, and then you have just Everton above them on goal difference, and Leeds 2 points steer of that.
I don't feel like they're doomed after last night at all. I feel like, you get hammered in one of these games, everybody goes off and has a few days off, and then you come back in and you go again. Like, I'm sure the Leeds fans feel pretty grim about life, but so do the Everton fans, so do the Forest fans, and it's actually interesting. Liverpool have Forest next.
Yeah,
I mean,
perfect game for Liverpool.
It is the perfect game for Liverpool. It's at Anfield, but then they're away at West Ham, and they've Spurs at home, then they've Fulham at home, and they've Brentford at home. So they've a lot of home games in a row, and maybe you give them
tough opposition though. Fulham, Brentford, like they're the exact type of teams that travel away places and just pick up results.
Not at Anfield. Not at Anfield.
Maybe not.
I think so. Look, maybe this is it. Maybe the Liverpool fans are feeling themselves this morning, and we're raining their parade. Maybe top 4 is still on. This would be the most remarkable achievement of his entire career.
Which is
not toppling Bayern Munich, not winning the European Cup, not winning the league for the first time. This, getting 4th from here. Imagine the glory at the end of the season.
Which do you think is more likely right now, guys? Arsenal winning the title or Liverpool getting top 4? The Arsenal fan in the corner, keeping things real.
I'd be leaning towards neither of them being all that like. Right. I think Arsenal winning the title is more likely than Liverpool getting top 4 at the moment. Just purely on the fact that Arsenal at least have a bit of a cushion at the top of the table, whereas Liverpool do have a lot of points to make up to get that top. And I also think there are other teams above them as well who are possibly better positioned to make up the points and get a couple of results.
Yeah.
And go on that run.
So sorry, you said Arsenal are more likely than Liverpool.
Yeah,
which is correct according to the bookmakers. Bookies have it 6-1, 13-2 for Liverpool to make top 4, and Arsenal are still 7-4 to win the league.
Yes.
Favourites?
No, 9-4 favourites, 9-4 on favourites. Manchester City.
That's mad, isn't it?
No, it's not bad.
It's been such an upsetting couple of days for Arsenal supporters.
It makes perfect sense.
West Ham at the weekend, losing Kim Little yesterday ahead of like the Champions League at the weekend and a possible title run, and Caitlin Fjord also out for the rest. Well, at least a month. Already losing Miedema
It's not great, is it?
I literally, like, I actually, and I've said this a couple of times that I've been on the show, I have enjoyed the high points of this season because I knew at some stage it was all going to come crashing down around my ears. And I did. It was one of the Premier, and it's not over yet, but this has probably been one of the most enjoyable Premier League seasons that I've had in a long time. And I'm going to remember that, and I'm going to remember how happy I was.
You'll be so sad, though, if it doesn't work out.
I always had this feeling that we weren't going to do it. Like, I as much as I enjoyed it, I just always thought that City at some stage were going to come back. Like, I looked at our squad depth, like the just general ability of a player like Haaland to get goals no matter what, and I was like, I don't really think this is going to happen for us. I don't think we could last the whole season, but it's a good... I think you guys were kind of right when you were saying the other day that Arsenal would almost be better if they were still in at least one other competition. I think they're feeling the weight of just being in the Premier League race and having nothing else to focus on. And if we don't win this, well, we've just blown an absolutely massive lead for our own... It's not even like we came up against teams that were very good and blew it against them. It's we came up against teams and faltered when we should be firing on.
Like Rio Ferdinand was putting up on Twitter yesterday a couple of clips from his podcast, and he was talking about the fact that would you prefer to be an Arsenal player, finish second in the league and not win a trophy, or
with all due respect, this is the man who was like, oh, we don't celebrate the Carabao Cup, and now it's a great thing. Think how the turntables have turned. Rio, you're celebrating the Carabao Cup as like, oh, we're better than you.
But third in the Carabao Cup is better.
It's not
than second, and no.
It isn't because at the start of the season. Because at the start of the season, you're at Manchester United, but you're expected to win actual trophies as opposed to the Mickey Mouse Carabao Cup.
Or Mickey Mouse Carabao Cup. So if Aston Villa won the Carabao Cup, you'd be like,
are Aston Villa and Manchester United expectations the same, Shane?
No.
With respect, this is Rio Ferdinand who would have branded the Carabao Cup Mickey Mouse. We didn't celebrate that. The cup stayed in the corner. We had bigger fish to fry. We were Champions League contenders. We were Premier League contenders. It's all well and good for him, like trying to stoke the flames of, you're still only Arsenal and you managed to bottle the league. But it's absolute nonsense from his perspective to be saying that Arsenal haven't had a better season than Manchester United this year. They haven't. If Arsenal finished second.
I would prefer to have had Manchester United's season. Because
no, you wouldn't
based on
have.
United's current expectations the last 10 years are give us any trophy possible. Forget about the Premier League and the Champions League. Like, Carabao Cup is where it's at. Like, this season, if they go on and win...
That has not been United's expectations for the last 10 years.
Well, if United could win another trophy this season, if the FA Cup and Europa League as well.
But that's not what he said. That's not what he said. He said if they just won the Carabao Cup. So if they just win the Carabao Cup, they have to either get beaten by Brighton or Manchester City in the FA Cup. Right?
Yeah.
That has to be part of the season. You're going to be like, yes, what a great season. Knocked out by Brighton or our nearest rivals in the final.
And
Hooray.
get top 4 in the league.
We won the Carabao Cup. But we're happy with that.
No,
what?
But
what are you talking
Champions
about?
League qualification and a trophy at the end of the season. That's
Arsenal
not bad.
Genuine title contenders for the vast majority of the season. From nowhere. From like, will they get top 4? Unlikely.
Yeah, but
to a bit where they're now suddenly genuine title contenders and potentially genuine title contenders next season. We'll wait and see.
Like, if you genuinely went to the depths that Arsenal have gone to over the last recent couple of seasons, and if United were in that place, because they were never in the place that Arsenal have been, they haven't been rebuilding in the same way that Arsenal have been since Arteta came in, and you had a season where you went to second, led the whole league for the majority of the year, and were pipped by a pretty insane Man City team when you look at like the squad, the fact that they probably have about 2 players in most positions that they could swap in and out, and no, it doesn't make that much of a difference. You go up against that and you get second, and okay, yes, it is an explosion. You would say that what United have done this season is more impressive than that. Like, Arsenal have come from nowhere, literally, over the last couple of seasons. United never sunk to those sort of depths.
No, but like, I feel like a trophy, like, when you look back when a player looks back in their career, trophies are what matters. It's not second place finish.
Proper trophies matter as well, like not the Carabao Cup.
Of course, if we rank trophies, the Carabao Cup comes at the bottom of those trophies. It's not as big as the Champions League, the Premier League, or the FA Cup.
Would you rather be Arsenal or Manchester United heading into next season on the basis of this season's performances?
Well, league terms, of course, Arsenal. But I mean,
you had a better season.
Manchester United are not far off.
Well, we'll see.
The gulf isn't that big, and Newcastle aren't that far off as well. Like a big summer for Newcastle.
I just thought it was a bit rich from Rio to be like, oh, we've definitely had a better season because we won this thing which we don't respect, which we don't respect.
Of course, he's not going to respect it because he's won everything. But these current United players hadn't won a trophy at Old Trafford.
Tell me the last trophies that they won when Mourinho had that season where they won trophies.
When Mourinho won the Europa League and the League Cup,
and that was a real stepping stone to contending for a title, wasn't it? That was real. We're on it now. We're on the upward trajectory. The football we're playing is great.
Finished second in the league as well.
Finished second in the league.
Yeah, exactly. But do we remember that? No, we don't remember that.
Were they in the race?
In the league. We remember the trophies and the images of Wembley.
How close was the race? Was it a title race, or was it just we managed to come from fourth to finish second? That's what happened. They weren't in the title race. There was no.
But the point is, no one remembers those second place. You're not going to look back in your career and say, "Remember
we absolutely remember."
Our fans aren't going to remember it. Oh, look! Remember that time we finished second to Man City, and
I think the Liverpool fans remember pushing Man City to the end of the season. Everybody remembers title races. Everybody remembers Arsenal and Liverpool and Michael Thomas and there being an actual title race. People, of course.
But fans don't think back on it fondly because it's like, oh, wasn't that great that we had a title race? No. We lost the title race. It was crap.
People don't remember.
I've literally just told you this has been one of the most enjoyable seasons that I've had in over a decade because we were up there and you actually saw and kind of in the same way you're saying with this United team. You can see the positive trends. You can see that Ten Hag has come in and actually finally given you something to fight for. That's exactly what I'm saying about Arsenal season. The only difference is we actually had potential to win the league.
True. I just
United
think
didn't.
You need to get your medals and your trophies out. At the end of your career, fans will remember that. United fans will remember the Carabao Cup final this year for a few years. That was a happy memory. They could still win the Europa League if they get over Sevilla on Thursday night.
If they don't win the Europa League, it's a bit of a bottle job. But they're by far the most storied, most successful club left in the competition.
Yeah.
In terms of titles won, money, turnover, fan base.
But what's the advantage of winning the Europa League? Getting Champions League qualification. So if they get top four anyway in the Premier League, does it really matter winning the Europa League or not?
But at the same time,
it's a trophy, of course.
No. I'm saying that if they only win one trophy from this position, where they're in the semi-final of the FA Cup and they're still 2-0 up at home to Sevilla. Have you seen the Goldberg clip?
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, it's sensational.
Yeah. Never fails to deliver.
Doing the rounds where it's Sevilla, no sign of them scoring. They've been completely blunt. And then
Goldbridge is he's that just character that leans into it, I think. But no.
Anyway, I mean, look, that's your tribe there. 7:48 this morning, and they're all coming out to defend you as well. Don't worry.
Go on, lads. Keep her lit in the comments.
OTB AM with Gillette Labs. Got the ultimate shaver, your money back Neon Night edition available now. Here's what's coming up between now and 10 o'clock for you on OTB AM. James Tracy's going to rejoin us, talking to us about Leinster. He's going to pick a Leinster second team that we would stick up against Munster, Ulster or Connacht. Frank Rainey's going to update us on, maybe for the final time, on the Regency trial, although maybe not, because the Minister for Justice says that the investigation into the Regency murder is still ongoing. One JD, please. That's John Duggan at 8:40. Sports News at 8:45. After that, Harriet Pryor is going to talk to us about Liverpool. Alex Denning is one of our brightest young drivers. He's going to talk to us at 9:10, and we'll play out some Lydia Hislop from last night's show. So she's obviously talking about the protest at the Grand National. Protest at the snooker last night. You managed to miss this, Shane.
I should say, people are reminding me it's Caitlin Olsen. I don't know what I said, but...
Said Kristen, I think it was.
Okay, Kristen Olsen. It's Caitlin Olsen, of course it is. Protest at the snooker. I was on the way to the Three Arena last night when I saw my phone starting to hop. All my snooker friends, #snooker friends, messaged me going, have you seen this? I was like, oh my God. I've never in all my days watching the World Snooker
Championship. It almost, for anyone who's listening and can't see it, but for anyone that's watching on YouTube, it almost looks like performance art, the photos that are up there.
Well, Ronnie O'Sullivan's good mates with Damien Hirst, the artist who is often in the crowd at the Crucible. This was not a Damien Hirst moment. This was Just Stop Oil, who've got the publicity that I think they were looking for. These are the guys who were blocking the motorways and roads of England, protesting and trying to raise awareness for environmental concerns. And they've got their back page headlines. They've got their push notifications yesterday. It was just one of those mad moments where you're like, this is really disruptive, because you could run onto a pitch at a football match, or you could even run onto a track at an athletics meet, and things just continue once the protesters are I guess, taken away. But in snooker, if you open a bag of orange powder on a snooker table, it turns out the baize does not react too kindly to it. You had Rob Walker out hoovering, try and hoover it up. They had to recloth it overnight, apparently, and that match between Joe Perry and Robert Milkins is to resume at 7 p.m. this evening. So
there would have been play this morning.
Yeah, and like, so the session last night had just begun. It was in the opening frame, 11 points to 0, I think, and so they had to stop the session, stop this morning session, of course, and resume 24 hours later. So it's a bit annoying for the fans who had to sit there and pay the money for the tickets, front row. Security probably are looking at themselves this morning going, maybe we could have done a bit more there. On the other table, of course, Mark Allen was in action, and the referee Olivia Martil, who I've spoken to on Off the Ball before, over COVID, he was the guy who literally stops the female protester from coming onto the other table, and I think she was trying to glue herself to the table. She managed to get one hand into one of the middle pockets and get no further. But it was just one of those mad moments where, like, this is not going to be forgotten for some time. Snooker is in the mainstream, folks, so I'm not complaining. We're all talking about snooker this morning. Maybe not the action, but still.
I think because as well it's so quiet in snooker, it made more of an impact than, say, if you see someone running onto a pitch at a football match and there's like 50, 60,000 people. You know, you just hear this yelling and then all of a sudden there's a guy on the table and the paint or whatever it was going everywhere. It kind of like, it made you jump. Like I just saw I think I actually saw the video you tweeted out, and that was how I first saw it. And even though I was expecting something, it still like gave me a bit of a fright whenever your man came out.
Some people are saying it's a great advertisement for Baraka.
Do we know what it was?
I don't know what it was.
It said that it was dried paint in the papers today.
But it made quite a mess. It's just one of those little crazy moments. It's funny because when you're at the Crucible, and I'm heading over this weekend, you are searched quite vigorously going in, so I don't know how they managed to pull this off, but it was just one of those things where, like, is this actually happening? I've seen them trying to recloth tables overnight and move tables. It's a process. It's a tedious process.
I do have to wonder why. Surely there's a table next door that they have, ready to go just in case something might happen. A contingency plan, maybe, in the event that something. Are there only 2 tables at the Crucible?
There's a 2-table setup, and then the semi-finals on. So overnight between the quarters and semis, they turn it into a 1-table setup. Right in the middle of the room. It's quite tight with the 2 tables. But you see, the tables are so heavy and have to be put together and reclothed. And
but why do they have to be reclothed every time?
Well, you see, the players notice if a cloth is hard or fast, or if it's bouncing too much, or if it's rolling off a little bit.
Rolling off sounds bad. Yeah,
definitely, certainly bad.
It's not the pub.
No, but
is it not kind of like, though, I don't know if you're playing at Wimbledon or something, and you just kind of accept over the course of a tournament that the surface is going to change and you're supposed to adapt your game to deal with that?
But if all of the players start complaining about the conditions, then that's when
same for all of them, Shane. Same for all of them,
It's true, yeah. And some players used to use a certain type of chalk. I think Ronnie O'Sullivan used to get in trouble for using a certain type of chalk that left marks on the table, and other players who used a cleaner chalk weren't happy with it, and it would certainly affect the conditions. So snooker is one of those sports where it's like, if there's even a draft in the room, people notice, the players notice. Obviously if there's a fly, it's like the episode of Breaking Bad, everyone just stops and waits until the fly is arrested.
Killed. This is why I'm saying it's shocking that a man comes screaming out of the crowd from nowhere, because if you're disturbed by a breeze or a fly.
Well, it's the supporters. You can hear the fans on the TV as well cursing, and literally you're just waiting for the fans nearly to run on and take this
I
guy
genuinely
away.
thought that was going to happen with some of the stuff that the fans were shouting. I almost think they have such reverence for the tables and like that space of where the people are competing that they're almost kind of like rocking in and out of their seat, being like, I want to go down there, but I'm also not going to go down there.
The table's paradise. The table is literally, you can't touch a snooker. Like I remember interviewing Ken Doherty at the World Snooker Championship a few years ago for a documentary for Off the Ball, and we stood beside the table, but fans were coming into their seats, and we were literally, and he was like, you can touch it if you want, and I was like, no, I'm not touching it. I absolutely don't want to touch that. Like, literally, it's so clean and pristine looking. I'm like, I don't want to even.
What about all the oil on the people's fingers, like over the course of the tournament? Exactly. And sorry, in the middle of the tournament, maybe you've already said this, I was just reading some of the comments. Do they change it ever? Or do they ever
They do recloth it. Yeah.
In the middle of the tournament?
Yeah. At times.
Why aren't they quicker quicker than this. So why is it taking 24 hours? It seems like they're just being a little bit dramatic about the whole. Oh, someone poured some stuff on our thing. It's ruined.
I actually think it's any publicity is good. It's good for the Just Stop Oil protesters. They've got the headlines, but it's also good for World Snooker. I think they're looking at this going, yeah, it's caused a bit of a delay, but I mean, everyone's talking about
as you say, snooker on the front and back pages.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
They were thinking it was going to be the Ronnie O'Sullivan versus his opponent on Friday.
Oh, Hossein Vafai, this is going to be juicy. They have been slagging each other off for, like, Hossein Vafai was interviewed yesterday and he was like, he beat Ding Junhui 10-6 and he said, yeah, Ronnie used to be my hero, not anymore.
He's one of the numpties that Ronnie looked down on.
Yes, yeah. 100%.
Ronnie's a bit of a bully punching down.
True, yeah. Ronnie has a mug that says numpties on it that he was given and still uses quite often. But yeah, Ronnie. I think Ronnie needs a little bit of spice and juice to.
That's what he says. Yeah,
that's what he says.
I mean, I'm so unenthusiastic about this thing that I'm great at that I need someone to enthuse me.
Yeah, he's got a book coming out as well. So watch this space.
Yeah, Damien Hirst did. There was one of those documentaries. Damien Hirst has gifted him a painting, which I presume is worth as much as he's won in his entire career.
Ridiculous.
So, yeah. Right. A couple of things we need to talk. Todd Bowley was in, by the way. Todd Bowley was in, chatting to the players, giving them.
You made it sound like Todd Bowley just popped in to say hello to us.
Studio here, yeah.
A few of his thoughts. I wonder, was it inspired by the fact that he was getting crap from the Chelsea fans? So yesterday we saw pictures of Todd Bowley looking up at Chelsea fans and speaking to them looking down on his box and giving him a piece of their mind. And then today we hear that he went in with a couple of the other co-owners and spoke to the players for an hour afterwards.
Apparently this is a thing. Apparently Todd Bowley just does this, and it's like, this is not something new, but
I think the length of time seems to be new.
Yeah.
And also the fact apparently he picked out one particular senior player that's been signed over the last year and gave them a really hard time, and they were one of the few people that were picked on throughout the whole thing.
Okay. Do we know who it was?
No, none of the papers will say who it actually was.
It's farcical. What does Todd Bowley know about football? Sorry, Todd Bowley's come out with some ideas that you're like,
hey man, he's the owner. He's the owner.
He's the owner, but that does not give him a right to go into the dressing room.
He knows his name is on the bottom of the checks. Knows a lot.
Leave it to the managers who have lived and breathed football.
Yeah, Frank Lampard's doing a great job.
No, but
he's doing a great job.
Frank Lampard knows a lot more about football than Todd Bowley does. So stay out of the dressing room. What do you have to say? Go in and say your few words for like a minute or two. No problem.
As my kids would say, debatable. But anyway, Dwayne Griffin says, as an Arsenal fan, I'm happy with the progress Arsenal have made in the position they're in, genuinely contending for the title and pushing a great City team. Not too bothered what United are doing. Dahlia Shocknessy, Arsenal pushing this incredible City with a devastating Haaland when they weren't even forecast top four at the start, and Man U FC fans moaning that it's a failure. United fans extremely bitter Arsenal are pushing City this year. It's that bad that they would rather see their nearest rival City win the league over Arsenal. Stephen Nolan, Arsenal have bottled the league so badly. Shane Corcoran, don't be so ridiculous, Ger. If they don't win the title, it's not a successful season. United have one trophy in the bag and still in contention for 2 more trophies. Yeah, Shane, that's right. And if they bottle those trophies, is it a great season?
What do you mean bottle?
Well, that was Rio's. In Rio's assertion, it was like they've already bottled them.
Lose to an Evan Ferguson inspired Brighton.
Well, he's going to be injured.
Hopefully he's back. It'd be lovely to see him.
Better season, win FA Cup, League Cup and Europa Conference League and finish 5th or finish 4th and win nothing. I'd pick the former. So West Ham are going to have a better season than Arsenal. Is that what you're telling me? If they win the Europa Conference League? All right, Fergus. I'll have whatever you're smoking this morning. Sure, you have to look at the time frame. You have to take time frame into consideration, says Chris, when talking about trophies. Rio winning the Carabao Cup is completely different to this United team winning the Cup. It's all relevant, he says. You mean relative, I think, Chris. Not to be pedantic, but I accept your point. But Rio can't have it both ways, is what I'm saying. And Shane trying to, this is a great season. We spent $250 million on players in the summer. And
Villa fans still sing about the European Cup in the 80s. Like,
it's a European Cup.
Yeah, I know, but
it's an actual
it's a
European
trophy,
Cup.
exactly.
It's not the Carabao Cup. It's the European Cup. You get a gold star. That's what you get the stars for, Shane.
The League Cup is not a bad trophy. It's the worst trophy available.
It was literally the thing that